Really quickly, as I walked around last week, I realized that a lot of you had a really hard time drawing the face, particularly the nose and lips in profile. So from the side. So really quickly, I'm going to show you guys that again. I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to make the nose and lips look a little more natural. Okay? So again, I'm just going to walk you through from the very beginning. Again, start with that circle that represents the top part of the head. And then when you're drawing a person from the side, you just simply move this bottom circle over. Okay? So this becomes the front of the face. Okay? And this becomes the back of the neck. Okay? And then front of the neck will be down here somewhere. Okay? So when we're doing this, a lot of people are still putting those eyes too high. So remember that the bottom of the chin is here. The top of the head is here. You divide that in half to get where the eyes go. You divide from here to here in half to get the bottom of the nose. Maybe the nose needs to go a little higher actually, because most people don't have that long of a nose. And then you divide that in half again to do the bottom of the bottom lip. Okay? Also, another thing that I noticed that people were doing was they were putting the ear way too far forward, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, we'll just talk about that in a minute. Okay, so before I get too far, I'm going to get rid of anything that's going to confuse me. So any of these circles that I don't need anymore, I get rid of. Okay? So if I have this head shape, and I know that the eyes are going to go here, I need to think about what a nose looks like, and the top part of the nose in particular, and how that connects to where your eyebrows are, right? So at the bridge of your nose is basically the center of your eyes. Okay, the bridge of your nose might be a tiny bit higher than the center of your eyeball. Okay, so when you're thinking about this, from this line that I already made out here for the front of the face, that's obviously going to change a lot because of the nose and the mouth and the chin. But from this line, I just want to kind of create like a half circle inside of that line. Okay? So what that's going to do, it's going to show me where the nose is going to start, and it's going to show me where the eyebrow bone is going to be, right there. Okay? So if you just do that, that's going to get you off on the right path. A lot of people, watch up here, a lot of people I saw doing the nose just kind of like a little bump. Right? And most noses stick out a lot further than that. Okay? This is like Voldemort's face, right? Just barely poking out. So when you're drawing this, keep in mind that the bottom of the nose shouldn't go past that line. Most people have a little bit shorter nose than that. So what I would do is I would just, where this line and the front of the face, these two lines intersect, I would just start right there and I would just draw kind of a diagonal line. Now this is going to go away, okay, but that's just sort of a reference. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this curve out, and I'm going to take it almost out to the end of that, and then start to curve it around. Okay? So that looks too big to me. So if you go all the way down to that line, depends on the person obviously, but that looked a little bit too big to me, so I'm actually just going to come up a little bit and connect it to that curve. Okay? And everybody has a different shape of nose too, so it all just depends. Okay? So another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go one step further here, and I'm going to make a little bit sharper of a curve here and flatten out the top of the nose, just because most people have a little more flat of a nose. So I don't want that to be too curvy. That's just my personal preference. You can make the nose shape however you want. Okay? So now this part where the nose connects into the lip, I know I have this line. This represents the bottom of the bottom lip. Okay? So I don't want to go past that. Where this nose connects back to the face, I'm going to go, here's my original line. Can you guys see that? I'm going to go past that original line a little bit, and I'm going to curve it back out to it. Okay, so all I've done is I've just hit a little hook back out to that line. The top lip is pretty much just a straight line back in, and then the bottom lip is going to be almost just like a half circle that sticks out past the top lip, and then comes back down to that line that I made. Okay? So now the chin obviously also depends on the person you're drawing, but from there, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did under the nose. I'm going to create this little curve that gradually turns into the chin there. So the chin, if you see my original circle there, that line, the chin's going to stick out usually from that, depending on the person, but usually that, and then it's going to curve down into the neck. Okay? So once I have all that stuff in the right position, I can get rid of all these extra lines again because they're just going to confuse you. And I can think about how this head is going to be broken up from here to here. Okay? So now I'm going to draw the eye. Okay? And we talked about the eye from the front. You know, you're obviously going to see an eyeball sort of like this, right? If you watch those videos. But when you're looking at it from the side, you're only going to see the outside half of it, more or less. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I know that this is the center of the eye. It's going to be, my line is going to be half above and half below that. So I'm just going to sort of draw this triangle with a rounded end on it. Okay? You want to make sure you leave space. You might even leave more space than that, depending on the person. Some people have really sunk in eyes. Okay, I wouldn't leave any less than that. Okay? And then you're just going to draw the iris sort of on the front of that. You can also draw the eyelashes sticking out in front of it. If you're going to get really detailed, you can draw the eyelid sort of wrapping around the bottom of the eye. And then you can draw sort of the eyelids starting and sticking, the crease of the eyelid kind of wrapping around the eye and coming around it. Okay? The eyebrow is going to be in line with this sort of point that I just made here. It's obviously not going to stay pointy. I've never seen somebody with a super pointy eyebrow. Okay? But the eyebrow is more or less just going to start in line with that, and it's just going to kind of wrap around the eye like this. Okay? And depending on how thick you want to make it, it's up to you. Okay? Then you can round off that point. A lot of people also, their forehead is kind of flat, and then it connects back up into that curve. You can change that however you like. That's how I usually draw. I draw the forehead fairly flat, a little bit of a curve to it, and then I connect it back to that circle that I made. Okay, now that I have the eye, I know where the inside corner of the eye is, so I'm going to draw a line down. That nostril shouldn't go past that. A lot of people also, depending on the person, you can draw that line slightly curved, so it can be sort of like this instead of just straight. So that's how I like to do it. I'm going to make that nostril come almost out to that line. Draw a little hole in the bottom of the nose. Okay, and that's a good start to a nose. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing from the center of the eye, this sort of curve, and that's going to be the furthest the mouth should go out, probably not even that far. Okay, so when I have this, the front of your top lip sort of has this curve to it, so I curve that up a little bit, and then I flat line down to where that mark is. The bottom lip is pretty much just going to be a curve that stops a little bit short of the corner of the mouth. The top lip is going to have that little dimple in the top, and then straight line down to the corner. Okay? Some people have a little dimple right there. Some people have a dimple out here. You can draw those in if you want to. It's up to you. So now that I have the nose and the eyebrows, I can think about the top of the ear. So I'm going to draw a slightly angled line from both of those because the head actually curves around. And as I'm looking at this, I don't like how I drew the back of the head. I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit more and then connect into the neck. So you can make changes as you go. Just because you drew a circle there in the beginning doesn't mean it has to stay there the whole time. Your ear, when you're looking at someone from the side, is going to be almost to the back of the head. Okay, I just saw a lot of people on Friday drawing the ear way up here, like almost on the cheekbone, right? And that ain't right. That'd be a very weird place to have an ear. So keep it all the way back. Just a little space in between the ear and the back of the head. Okay? You can also draw this person's cheekbone sort of coming off of where that ear starts and kind of curves down and goes towards the bottom of the nose. Okay? You can draw the beginning of their jaw. It kind of starts right underneath the ear. You can make a little mark for that. You can draw the inside of the ear. There's a lot of cool little details and wrinkles and folds of skin inside of an ear. I like drawing ears. They're fun to shape. Okay? And then you can draw This tendon thing right here has a cool name. It's called sternocleidomastoid. Isn't that cool? Sternocleidomastoid.
Is that like every letter in the alphabet put together?
Pretty much. It's like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but it's sternocleidomastoid. This bone right here that connects to your cheekbone is called your zygomatic bone. It's kind of a fun one as well. The zygomatic arch goes right there behind your ear. This bone right here behind your ear is called your temporal bone. The bone that goes into the back of your eyeball is called your sphenoid bone. There's all kinds of cool bone names in your skull. Sphenoid, yeah, I like that one. The one inside your eye is called the orbital bone. Your top lip bone is called your maxilla bone. There's a whole bunch of useless knowledge you learn. Okay, if you want to put hair on, typical person's hairline is going to start right in front of their ear. It's going to curve up around their eyebrow, and then curve up, and then around their forehead. Sort of like that. And then you can kind of see the back of it behind their ear. You can draw their hair however you want. Give them a big old strong shoulder, big neck muscle, massive person. Okay? So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can play around with when you're drawing someone from profile, because especially the ear, I really like drawing this curve of the lip from the side. Eyes are pretty fun from the side. So really play around with that. Again, your final project, you're going to draw the same exact person from the front and from the side, and their facial features should match. So if you give the person glasses, they're going to be wearing glasses from the front and glasses from the side. Okay, you're going to draw the same person from two angles, and you want to try to match their proportions. Okay, so that's what we're working towards. Most of you have got the front view down. Okay, most of you have done a really good job on the front view, getting all those measurements figured out. The profile view presented a big challenge for a lot of you last week, and a lot of you had especially trouble with how far the nose comes out and how it transitions to the lips. I saw a lot of lips that were sticking way out here. Okay, and a flat nose. Okay. Questions? Okay, really focus on profile view today. Draw it big. Okay, if you can draw this big, you can get a lot more detail in there. If you draw it tiny, it's really hard to draw any of that detail. Okay? All right.